Hello and welcome to the channel. I've got a bit of a treat for you today. Well, actually it's a bit of a treat for me, but it should be a treat for you at the same time. Now, ever since I've turned pro, 18 months ago, I've very rarely practiced. In fact, I put next to no time into my golf, and the only time I actually practice is when I'm doing reviews on this channel or with Dan. So I think it's about time that changed. Now, the last lesson I had was on this channel, it was back at Ashbury, and it was with Dan. So I think it's about time I got myself into a place where I can practice more, but in order to do that, I need to do the right things. And there's only one person who knows my game well enough to get me in a place to do the right things. And that's this man right here.
Oh, Lee.
Dan Hendriksen.
I hear you need a lesson.
I need more than a lesson.
I hear you need sorting out.
I've got into some bad habits, Dan. Not had a lesson for about 2 years, and I'm hoping you can be the saviour of I've got more swing thoughts and golf clubs in my golf bag.
Should we get down to business?
Let's do it.
It's a nice looking shot.
Hold it.
Nothing wrong with that.
It's the first time I've middled a golf ball.
Okay, give me a couple of shots, all right? Let's get some numbers of what's going to go on, and let's see where we're at to get you off, kick you started, all right?
That's what I feel I'm doing a lot.
Okay, so a little bit left.
Yeah. Ooh.
Thin to win.
Thin to win.
That'll work.
You just said you played for that, wouldn't you?
I have my pointer.
Some big numbers, Dan.
Well, and I'm hoping everyone's going to pick this up, but there is a couple of key things, and it's actually quite easy and quite noticeable in your actual swing dynamics, the way you're moving and everything. But on average, with those shots that you've just hit here, you're in to out by 5.3 degrees on an average, a couple up in the 6.5s. Club face though, massive rotation on the club face, so massively close coming into impact, okay? And then the other one that we've got to look at is lie angle. So your lie angle is 3.3 degrees toe up. So in this position, so handle's very low, which is actually, for me, quite nice to see, in the fact that a lot of the time I see a lot of golfers, they tend to be very much handle high, toe comes down, get massive dispersions in what you're doing. But I think there's two things, two main things that I want to try and see if we can figure out, if possible. Obviously, first and foremost, you're bringing the club massively on the inside, working the club in to out, okay? When you see Lee hit lots of drives, he tends to get right up onto his tiptoes, okay? So coming way from the inside and then up on his tiptoes and then massive spin outs as you come into the shot. Well, with the hips moving in that direction, so the drop of the club inside is going to move that path way into out. So like I said, 6 degrees is last shot, 6.2 degrees into out. So massively from the inside, okay? Hips kind of slow down because we're shoving forward rather than rotating. Therefore, hands are going to flip over. And you're seeing that with the club face turning over, considering that the club path is moving out.
Yeah. Okay,
so massively closed with the face, massively into out with the path. The other thing that what you do is you get it to the top and it's a big drop down here, which is indicating then that we're going to start to work the club on the inside. So I want you to get a sense of just a couple of things in this swing change that we want to think about, is trying to keep our width up here. So I want to try and feel like we don't drop. I don't want to see any of this going on as we come down into the ball. I want to just see we can hold that position, and then simply we're going to get from this position here, we're going to try and really feel like we can rotate hard left. So it's not a slide to the left, it's a rotate, left hip comes back. And that should then start to quieten down this drop, okay, because we're now keeping width out here. But also we're going to just try and get the sense of, by turning, we're going to feel like the club comes more this way rather than down, okay? Okay. So we're not going to drop. We're going to keep it width out here, rotate hard through the shot. That should then bring the club a little bit more onto a level playing field for us, getting our path to be a bit more neutral. And the more you turn, the less the hands are going to have to activate, okay? So with a couple of simple sort of thoughts, everything should start to piece together. Okay, so we're not thinking about the hands at all. We're going to let that naturally happen.
Yep.
But we're going to absolutely think about holding our width up here, not dropping down, so keep that width up there. And then as we start to come down, we're going to really rotate hard, almost like feeling like you're coming kind of not over the top, but just certainly swinging left on the way through. We'll have a little look at what you do there and then see if the numbers change at all from that.
Okay, so Dan, I completely understand what you're saying with regards to this drop at the top. And the reason for that is Western Supermare.
You had him there.
Yeah, I have done everything in my power to try and never replicate that. So what I'm trying to do, or my swing thought during that, so you've got some context, is I'm trying to obviously keep the face closed instead of, coming back. But my feeling is if I come down here and then I'm trying to shallow it out, I won't hit the hosel. That's my feeling, and that's the reason why I do that. But I'll try it, so you want to keep it more wider there, not that.
Okay, nice. Okay, hold it there. I don't normally stop a lesson literally after one swing, but you've got to get the feel of what feel and real are. So what a feeling is for Lee, instantly I could see the change there. You'll probably be able to see it yourself from the swing that Lee put in there. Very much kept the width at the top. The swing speed slowed down because he's thinking, his brain is ticking a lot quicker, so he's trying to figure out what's going on. And then the first move from the top, certainly more of a turn, a shift, putting that club into a much, much more what I would call sound position at the top. But then you've got to relate the numbers to what the feel is, because I think that's how people learn the best, really, from this. So if we just look at what you've achieved there with one simple swing, okay, naturally, your angle of attack is going to want to come down a little bit steeper, and we're seeing that. So we've got an angle of attack now of 5.4. You were around the sort of 2s and 3s.
Yeah.
So we've just come down on it a little bit steeper. The great thing about that, Lee, is that if you deliver the same loft, if you come down on the ball a little bit more, your spin loft's going to go up. So therefore, you're going to generate a little bit more spin, because you in recent times have been a bit more sweepy. So you've clipped the ball off the kind of top of the surface, which when spin loft drops, don't get quite as much control. But look at the difference here. So you were averaging around 5 degrees in to out, with a couple in the 6s, one in the 5, one low in the 3 and 4s, but 1.4 degrees in to out. So you've really neutralized everything. You've brought yourself down from massively this way to now just quietly bringing it a little bit more online. I'm like a 2 degree man. So I like you to either be, I don't care whether you're in to out or out to in 2 degrees, but just by bringing yourself down to 1.4 degrees in to out, your body's now rotating. You're not manipulating the club into path position. Your body is rotating harder, getting yourself into a position where the club can just fall into that place, okay? And look what's happened with the closed club face. That flight you hit there was quiet, wasn't it? It wasn't a great deal of, okay, it might not have been your best strike, but it was quieter. Well, the club face is closed down by, it's 2.5 degrees close to that path. So you're going to miss it fractionally left. But in the last 3-4 shots that you've hit previous, you've gone 5.4, 6.9, 6.3. This is massively closing down because your path is massively in to out. So you're trying your hardest to get that. That's a natural reaction. You're trying your hardest to get that club face to square up, to get that ball hitting target. It's just quieter. And then look at the lie angle.
Wow, I didn't even notice that.
Didn't spot that, did you?
I
So,
didn't notice that, no.
He's gone from a very, very much a toe-up position of around 3s and 4s and 3s and all the way up there to now 0.9. So this is what I'm getting at. When it comes to swing changes, you don't have to think of lots of swing thoughts. I don't know what you tell everybody. What did you feel when you did that? Did you feel that there was a lot going on, or was it?
So
it's quiet.
I sort of felt like when I got to the top here, my thought at this point was to try and hit left. That was the only thing I thought. I thought, get to here, don't do this, and try and shallow it out. Just get there and feel like I'm going to the left. And that's why the start direction was possibly a bit left. But like when you look at that, everything about this says left, into out, closed, face plane tilt. Like everything about it is going to go left, and just one
shape,
hit.
lots of shape.
Yeah.
It's, you know, even if you'd squared your face up into a position where it was a little bit more neutral, with a path with a 7-iron, with a path of 6 degrees into out, you're going to get massive shape.
Yeah.
I understand why you've done it. You know, at the end of the day, there's a lot of places that you can get a shank from. Over the top, club getting further away from you, but you've got to remember, there's a lot of players that can get a shank from coming in the inside.
Done it.
You've done it. You've mastered that as well. But just getting the sense of maintaining balance and stability, you know, that is really important when it comes to shanking. I see most players that I see generally fall into the ball.
I was going to say, quite often with that swing there,
Yeah.
I will. You may see, you'll see it on videos. I'll hit the ball, and I'm like that. Trying not to fall backward.
Because your hips go this way, they don't rotate out of the way, planting the left heel. I've been through this. I had my whole junior. Okay, I didn't shank it, but I was my whole junior days, and you see lots of junior golfers out there. There'll be kids out there watching this video that will know that they get here.
Yeah.
You're early extending into the ball this way, which then causes you to fall into the ball. You know, how often, and you see it with me where I'll fall off the ball when I hit a drive if I hit it a bit hard. But, you know, watching the PGA this week, I've been watching a little bit of the Arnold Palmer this week, whenever this video is going out, but I've been watching a bit of the Arnold Palmer, and you watch it next week when you watch at Sawgrass. How many players are you going to see falling into the ball?
No one.
Nobody.
Not even Scotty Scheffler with his great footwork.
Yeah, with his shuffle. You're going to see lots of players just getting to their position, holding their position there. Okay, you're not going to see them hitting a shot and then trying to balance themselves up into that position. Yeah. Where I see you.
I do it often. I do it a lot. Yeah.
And you do it a lot when you get a bit excited and you try and hit it harder. Okay? Because you're just desperately trying to keep your balance as you fall into the shot. All of that is an indicator that somebody is working inside this way. All the transfer of weight is pushing away from you, 6 degrees. Therefore, the weight transfer is going to pull you over into that position there. You've got to really focus hard on stability. Hit shots at 50%. Keep that stability, keep that balance point there. Really, really important that you use the ground to balance yourself up. But with one simple swing thought and one simple swing change, you've started to bring these numbers a damn sight closer together than what you've had over here. Yeah. Okay? Now, that is it. That's all I would want you to work on for right now, is to try and maintain that, because if you get your path moving in the right direction, you get your width and your body, everything moving in the right direction, you're going to start to quieten your hands down. You've had to become a handsy player to make contact with the golf ball. Just by changing that, getting your club moving in the right direction, get your body turning out the way, it's going to naturally bring your hands a little bit quieter into the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect.
Couple more. Let's have a look.
Yes, bunker ball.
A little bit in the trap, but look at the flight on it.
Yeah, I'm not
neutral.
I'm not like trying to hit a full shot. It's kind of like it's like a full shot, but not full speed, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it certainly feels a lot more controllable.
And one thing you're going to find, Lee, as well, and something I need to point out, path here at 2.3, face closure 2.1, so still wanting to close down a little bit, but that's fine. That's really, really good at this moment in time. But lie angle move to 2.3 up. When you slow down, when your swing speed slows down, your lie angle is going to want to sort of start to come up. The more pace that Lee puts into this shot, the more he's going to start to see that lie angle just drop down a fraction. How's your balance?
Bad.
Fell into it that time?
Yeah, I tried to just go a little bit like a full shot into it.
Yeah.
And the balance went a little bit. I felt like it was more controlled, but I definitely was like the toes were working hard on that one then.
Yeah. Path is good though, 1.9 degrees into out, so that's tidy, that's under my 2.
Oh, I thought I had that. Just wanted to fall forward right at the end.
But look how neutral your flight is now.
Yeah.
And what I actually like is the fact that you look more balanced. You look like you've got control over what's kind of going on within the swing. Like it's something you're thinking about maybe a little bit more, whereas previously probably you weren't thinking about it.
I think the only thing I thought about in the swing before was drop shallow.
Yeah.
That was all I was thinking about. Drop shallow, make contact with the ball, and at that point I was like, right, where's it gone? Yeah. I didn't actually have any control of the end point. It was just get going that way a little bit, and if I started overturning it, I just aim more right and play for the draw.
Completely get it. Okay, just left the face open a fraction that time, but again, where was the path?
A little bit more into out.
A little bit more.
3.6.
So more of a push, wasn't it, on that one?
Yeah.
Okay, again, keep that width at the top, and then really feel like you can turn into the shot from there. Keep that width up. Love it. Look how neutral that is, Lee.
A little bit low on the face, but it felt...
Yeah, your strike's going to go a little.
It felt safer, like I had my balance a bit more on that one.
Path?
0.3 into out.
Face?
2.7.
Okay, so tidy. Everything just quietly coming together, isn't it?
It was just a little bit low on the face. I think if that would have been a good strike, that would have been, I think, like a great shot. But it's not, like, there's not a lot to go wrong once it's left the club. Like, there's no overturning. It's a very quiet sort of flight. That one felt good.
That was good. Really, really.
Ooh.
It's as neutral as I've seen you. And it's that, like, you look like you're in complete control of what's going on. Oh, he's on the run. Yeah, nice. That's better, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lie still a little up. Again, the more you turn into it, the more you'll get that right.
I think it's important for me to work on this and then work on this.
Oh, 100%.
Because if I start too early to go on that,
yeah,
that's just going to go wrong and I'll get back into bad habits.
Yeah, and the harder you remember, the harder you hit at it, the more balance you're going to lose, basically. Yeah. You need to get balance first, focus on the importance of that, and then it will all start to come together.
Perfect, thank you. No, don't start with I always start with I always start with You want to see the amount of I cut out.
Do you? You're
unbelievable. Unbelievable amount of
Or an
ERM.
You got an R in there, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got an R. ERM, not an UM, not an I'm an Anyway, thank you. There you go, see. I'm not going to end this video now. I hope you've got something out of that, and that definitely gives me something to go away and practice on. This is the first time I've actually really put any dedication and thought into practicing. Before it was just let me get around the golf course and see what happens. So a big thank you to Dan for that golf lesson, and hopefully going forward there'll be more things that I can get Dan involved in. And
my most improved golfer is Lee.
I am your biggest achievement ever.
Well,
even after children.
I think Laura might argue that. Yeah.
Came to you at what?
18
handicap, and now I'm like
doing
at least 14.
Doing your PGA.
At least a 14 handicap. But I hope you'll follow this journey. I'm going to put a lot more dedication into my practice. I do want to now take this pro life a little bit more serious and go to these events and actually try and compete to them. And the only way to do that is to get better at golf and get people like Dan involved in my progress. If you don't know who Dan is, please go over and check his channel up. There will be a link in the description, but I presume you will all know who he is by now. But if you're not, head on over to Dan's channel and make sure you subscribe. Thank you very much, Dan.
My absolute pleasure, Lee. Just make sure you keep practicing. Make sure you just keep an eye on your numbers.
Always keep an eye on your numbers.
You only need to have 5 minutes, but 5 minutes of numbers is always good.
Perfect. Thank you very much, and I'll see you all on the next video.